Okay, good afternoon everybody, and welcome to another March Monuments race series. This is race number 4, the final one, and it's going to decide the complete series. Let's just switch over to the main studio, and there I am. Okay, sponsored by torm.cc. As you can see, I'm proudly wearing their jersey. But today is going to be quite a long ride. I'm expecting a long broadcast, probably about 4 hours for the majority of the riders. The front of the race may finish earlier, but the rest of the boys about 4 hours. If you look at the profile, 100 kilometers. So it's going to be a difficult one. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly pull up the RGTDB website, and then I'll be able to show you the current standings before we kick off. So let's go there now. We'll get there in a minute, I'm sure. Try again. No, still not working. Why is this not working? Okay. You know, I put in all this work and then it doesn't work. It's a bit disappointing. Okay, we'll come back to that later. So 3 minutes to the start of the ride. And how many have we got signed up? Let's have a ganders. Close that down. 18 on the line so far, including myself. Obviously, I'm not taking part in the race. I just have to jump on board and spin the pedals every 30 minutes, which I'll set alarms for to make sure I'm not kicked out. I'm also going to transition over to full race view, so you won't have to keep watching me. And it's going to be quite an interesting race today, because you've got quite a few, you can see on the line already, you've got quite a few OTR team members lined up. And then their main competitors are the guys in the Wattbike kit, the Varcio Racing team. The team leaders, you've got Maxime Turcotte, who's currently leading the standings for OTR, and I don't even know if he's turned up yet, but Jan Dekker is leading the standings for Varcio Racing. Yes, he's just turned up now, I've just seen him. So thankfully we've got the two main contenders. Main contenders in terms of you know, the points. I think obviously you've got riders like Plager who may well have a thing to say about the final placings, as will some of the other OTR riders. But it's going to be interesting to see what group dynamics play out today, because if anybody is going to overtake Maxime Turcotte, they really need to push him down the finish order. And realistically, I don't see that happening. So I'm going to switch over to the main live stream now. There we go. And you can see the race is starting in 20 seconds. So I'm going to jump on the bike, and then we'll begin commentary. Now I'm going to cover the whole event, but I won't be sat here for the full 4 hours. I'll obviously be going away, making myself cups of coffees, etc. And we'll take it from there. There we go. You can see me starting. Okay. Let's dig in commentary. So, front of the race, you've got Chang, as always, jumping off the front. Now you've got Brooke Wavel, obviously at the front as well, and he is currently in second place in the points table. So I imagine he's going to want to keep that along with his teammate Maxime. So I think you can see the two main teams already at the front. OTR with 4 riders and Rasio Racing with 4 riders. So they're not messing about, and I think this is going to be a feature of the ride. I think now I'm not sure whether MTO rides for either of those two teams, but certainly I think this group will stay together at least until the first climb. Let's zoom out a bit and see just how big it is, but all your main contenders are here, and I think it's going to take a little while for them to sort themselves out. I don't see. Let's see if I can get an overhead view. There we go, and zoom out, and then we get a better picture of what's happening on the road. There we go. So I don't see anything really changing much with this group until we start to hit the first of the climbs. Is not too far away, actually, the first few kilometres. So in the meantime, let's go back to the front end of the race and zoom back in and follow the riders, go through the rider list. So there we are at the front, and what I'm going to do now is try and avoid the trees and scroll through so that we can see. But the problem is that the ride order is changing so quickly, with people dashing to the front and working my way back through the rider list is not an easy task. And riders are just settling in at the moment. You can't take any stand-ins from where the riders are so early after just almost 2 kilometres. It's just, the fact that James Ogove is riding at the back of this group means absolutely nothing. I'm pretty sure he's going to be one of the main instigators of pushing the pace at the front later on in the ride. You can see Decker's just taken over the front of the end of the race. So, okay, let's see what's happening further back. Let's see if we can get to the back of this group. Nope, that's everybody. So basically you've got 19 riders and they're all here. They're all in the main group. Now I was hoping for a bit of a larger turnout than 20 riders if you include me. A little bit disappointed in that, but I have no doubt that these 20 riders will give us a cracking race. So you can see already the pace is around the 4 watt kilo mark. So they're not hanging about. They're on the first of the slopes, and it only gets harder from here as they reach the first of the steep climbs in a couple of kilometres. And you can see that the members, it's hard. Thankfully, the majority of the RR riders have now put RR after the end of the name, so they're easy to identify. But also the jerseys are pretty easy to identify, the Watt Bike jerseys. And OTR stand out too with their beautiful green and white jerseys. I really like that kit actually. I think it looks super. almost as good as the Team 3R. Not quite, but almost as good as the Team 3R kit. Okay, if I struggle with my coughing and speaking today, you'll have to excuse me, because I'm absolutely full up of cold still after 2 weeks, and I'm really struggling. I was coughing like mad when I covered yesterday's Sportive, so it's pretty difficult, and sniffles as well. So as I say, I don't expect much change from this group until they hit this first climb, and then you may see a few distanced. You've got riders obviously going to the front, but nothing much, no attacks are going to happen at this point, I don't think. I think it's a little bit too early, although having said that, OTR are making their presence felt at the front. Yeah, James has just echoed my thoughts exactly. It's going to be a long, well, James Chang has said it's going to be a long day, and James has said it's going to be tough, so that's an understatement. This is going to be one of the hardest rides many of these riders have done, I think. 4 hours of racing on this kind of terrain. I mean, racing on an indoor trainer for 4 hours is hard enough. Throw in fierce competitiveness of the people involved, and because today is the final race of the series, so there's everything to play for the people. I mean, I don't think anybody will overtake Maxime Turcotte, but I do think that the people in second and third place are certainly going to have to look after their placings. In last week's race, Jan Dekker took a superb win right at the very death of the race, an amazing sprint, but then I knew he was a good sprinter. But Maxime finished in sixth place, so points-wise lost a few points there, but not enough to really concern him at this point, unless, and this can always happen, unless he has a problem today. You know, there could always be a reason why he could even not finish. So it's never over until it's over. The last wheel has got over the line, but I don't see the race changing. So I think what we'll do here is we'll switch views and see if I can pull up the yeah, there we go. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to switch back to studio mode so that I can show you the race standings as they approach in this first climb. So let's transition over. Hope you like my new transition. Anyway, here we go. So these are the current standings, and you can see that no, these aren't the current standings. Where's my menu gone? Events. Okay. Not making a good job of this, are we? No, it's not. let's get back to the race. While I sort that out, see if I can find out where the results are. Yeah, in the window, it obviously doesn't show the. There we go. So it doesn't show the menu, so I have to go away and find the menu, which I'm doing on the other screen. So just bear with me while I try and sort this. And of course, it doesn't give me the page numbers either. No, it's not showing on the website. Okay. It's probably updating in real time, which is probably why it's not showing on the website. So I'll call it a day with that idea for the time being, and we'll go to the website at the end of the race. That's probably going to be a lot easier. Let's get back to the action and see what's happening with the riders. You can see that they're just approaching the start of the steep part of the climb. So I think you may well see a few riders dropping off the back. And in fact, how far behind is Gill's 50 metres back. And obviously I'm last man on the road because I'm not taking part. So I'm a bit surprised to see Gill dropped off so early in the race. Don't discount him. I think he'll get back. And in fact, I think there was a message there saying he was having, let's just check the chat. Yeah, bye front group, have a good ride. So for whatever reason, Mr. Gill is obviously struggling. And but the rest of the riders are all staying together. So let's head back to them. Maybe we can just flick around, yeah, and just looking at the back there and seeing we've got, whoops, a daisy. So Gill's last man on the road, but and again, I'm surprised to see MTO as well at the back, but I imagine he'll quickly get back into the group. And then if we work his way forward, you can see as the slope steadily starts to increase and okay, so Maxime is pushing along near the front. And you can see the true gradient as they're going up this section here. I mean, this is cruel. I said it was steep, but you can actually see the gradient here as we see if I can get, there we go, it's a nice side-on view for you. Just look how steep that is. I mean, that's insane. Maxime doesn't seem to be finding it insane. He's looking really good, as his shapers. Very, very early days yet. Nobody's going to want to sort of like show their strength. Yeah, it is a long, lonely ride, Mr. Gill. I admit when you're out on your own. I suspect you're going to get a couple of riders dropping back though. Already you're seeing a front group forming. We'll check who's in the groups once they get over this climb and see whether they come back together again. There's no point in going through the riders only to see the others joining them pretty quickly afterwards. But if we page down to the last rider in this group, which I think at the moment is Shapers. Yeah, it is. And then you can see Chang leading the chasers, but only, there's only 25 meters in it, so which this is not going to split them up, but further back could well do. There you've got James. Now this could be a split if James and the boys don't close this up quickly. I suspect they will close it up though. They're not going to. I wouldn't have thought they're going to let a gap open so early in the ride, and especially when there's three OTR boys here. So I don't think they're going to let this stand. We're only 16 minutes into the ride, so James is pulling them along here. And Simmons is a strong rider, so unless he's having an off day, he'll be putting in work a bit later on in the ride. And you've got a couple of riders behind, Frey and Frymouth. And there's the last man on the road, Mr. Gill. And it's going to be a lonely ride unless somebody drops back and joins him. But just look at that gradient. I mean, that's just... When you see it like that, it really does look steep. And you can see the trees are vertical, so I'm not sort of using the camera to give you a steeper than it actually is view here. That's the correct view. So as I say, James and his team will close up on Chang, and then they'll more than likely join the group at the front. But they do need to work hard because there's a 200-meter gap now, and if that grows out, to too much more, they're going to find it increasingly difficult to close up. And that could, and even this early in the ride, I did say that the first climb would, you can see from where the riders are, the first climb would sort out some of the group, and I think that's going to prove to be the case. See, I can actually swing the camera around and see who's behind him. You see, you can't even see the riders behind him. And if I go, to the riders in front of him and swing the camera around, you can just see him behind. So he's not that far. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, that's Gil at the back. This is the group. I need to go page up, don't I? There's MTO, and there's the front group. So again, as I say, we swing round, and you've got the lone rider in the distance in view. So it is possible that this this group could come back together. But MTO is really going to have to pull the stops out to catch this group. Maxime is saying trouble again. So let's find out what trouble. I mean, he doesn't look to be in trouble. Okay, so you've got the main contenders here in this group. You've got Plager, Turcotte, Yandecker, Krajowski. So Linden's in here as well. Husselmans. Is it Back's in here. So they're making up this small group at the front. Some really good, strong riders there, and Thiessen, of course. Can't count him out. So this is a strong group that have opened up a gap off the front. Because it's downhill and because they're riding as a group, they're obviously opening up a slight gap on MTO, who's following 200, almost 300 meters behind. So it's still very, very early days. I mean, there's a big climb coming up shortly, quite a steep climb. So that could well allow some of the riders behind to get back, or it could allow this front group to get away completely. I'm kind of I'm in the camp where I'm kind of hoping that the boys behind can close up the gap and bring it back together. But I'm probably wishfully thinking there, because realistically, this group are probably away now. That's probably it. You likely are not going to see the guys behind closing this gap. So Turcotte, and this will have been a deliberate effort by the Varcio Racing boys, because what they've got to do is they've got to get rid of Turcotte. I mean, let's have a count and see how many there's only one OTR rider in this front group, and 1, 2, 3, 4. How many? I count 4 Varcio Racing boys. So they're going to gang up on him 4 against 1. But there's only 9 riders in this front group, and we'll check it out later. I will get on the website and find out just what the points are. But I think even maybe a 10th place finish and Decker finishing first would still give Maxime the overall. I'm not sure. I need to check on that. So we'll we'll definitely look into that, and I'll get back to you. But in fact, I'm going to go away on to the website and see whether I can actually find the standings. In the meantime, let's see what's happening behind. So you got Peter Brook-Wavel. He's actually closing up the gap. This is good to see. I really hope they get back. Yeah, the boys are working really hard on this climb to try and close up the gap, and they've got it down. They brought it down to 80 odd meters, 90 meters. So yeah, there's a very good chance they're going to get back, which I have to say I'm really pleased about, because it would have been a shame to see 2 groups on the road so early in the race. With the OTR need to get up front and support their rider Maxime, and that's why they're pushing so hard on this section here. And of course, Peter's the man to do it. He's currently in 2nd place, I think, in the table. Excuse me. So let's see what's happening behind them. Simmons is just off the back, but he'll rejoin them. And in fact, I think Chang will bring this small group to join them as well. So we're looking good. We're looking like we may well get at least 17 of the 20 riders, or at least 16 of the 20 riders, back into the fold, which is good. Ellis has dropped off, and he's a further 100 metres behind Chang. But I'm not going to discount anybody, because I'll be honest, I really expected the front group to be pulling out a big gap, and James and his team have pulled them back. So I'm not going to call out any more so early in the race. It's just, I think that's amazing work. Plymouth is out in no man's land, but the good news is that Gill could well join Plymouth, and they could well ride together. And in fact, the three of them, Ellis as well. So Gill, Plymouth, and Ellis could easily join forces and end up riding together. But not anytime soon, because there's two big distances between them. But yes, within a few kilometres, they could easily end up riding together. You can see Westlake struggling here, but he's going to pull up to the wheel of Chang, I hope, and Chang will pull up to the wheels of these guys. There's only not much distance between them, and this is a fantastic effort. In fact, let's zoom in and find out who's doing the work. Is it still Peter on the front doing the work, or what? Let's see if we can find out. There we go. Get a view that works. Simmons and Peter. So yeah. I mean, he's in some of the previous rides. Peter's already taken the most aggressive rider prize, I'm pretty sure. When I do the highlights programs this coming week, we'll get a good idea of who's in contention for the spot prizes. But I'm pretty sure Peter will be right up there, because he's just such a good workhorse to have on a team. He really is. And James, you can't discount James, because he's just, James will absolutely smash himself for the team. He's not bothered about his own finishing position. He will just give everything for the team. And Simmons is, he's another rider that will just. And here's the front group, with Lyndon pulling them along. I don't know which team Lyndon is a member of. Moving forward with my live streams and coverage, I've mentioned this in other videos, but I'll mention it again. I'm actually going to start keeping a profile book on riders, and then I'll be able to flick through and I'll be able to give you information about individual riders in the events, because I'm going to be covering a lot more events, a lot bigger events, bigger races. There was one I wanted to have a look at the other day that had like 400 riders signed up for it. So I'm going to be covering some of the larger races, and obviously I'm going to need to be able to call out riders in those races that I think are in with a shot of winning. And then the only way I can do that is to start building up rider profiles, and taking existing information as well. I mean, I can go into IGTDB and get information there, but there's nothing beats keeping a manual sort of like book that you can simply flick through, an A to Z book with riders' names in, and simply flick through it when you were commentating on races. And I used to do the same when I used to organise events in real life. I used to keep profiles on riders. And you can see Maxime is not having any bullying from the boys. He's pulling he's pulling quite happy. Oh, sugar. Okay. Come on, let me rejoin. Maps playing up. Come on. I'll be back with the action very shortly, guys. I'm sorry about this. It's one of the things I hate about covering events. You have to jump on the bike every 30 minutes. And come on, come on. Why isn't it giving me the option to rejoin? Don't tell me they've changed with the update. Come on. The race has been started. You can no longer join. In previous things, it's allowed me to join. Okay, so it looks like I've done it. It looks like I've blown it. I don't believe us. Why don't they give me the facility to be able to cover this race without having to be a member? Okay, well, won't let me rejoin. So okay, well, basically, it won't allow me to rejoin, so I'm stuffed. Very, very upset after all the work I've put in on this series to miss the last race. No, I don't want to be a part of Dirty Reaver. Come on. Why is it loading that up? I don't want to join this one. I'm going to drop in on the sportive and can I actually join this one and have a look and see what's happening in the sportive? Yeah, it looks like it's. So either I find a way of imitating the power given out by the bike so that it constantly shows me in the ride, because this having to set alarms is just stupid. I mean, this today's ride is a 4-hour ride, and having to set an alarm every 30 minutes is just absolutely insane. Just don't believe it after all the work I've put in on this series. Please, RGT, can we have a spectate mode where, you know, the commentator, i.e. me, doesn't have to ride the event? Please. Because it's absolutely stupid what's going on, being kicked out of an event every time. Yes, it's my fault for not remembering to get on the bike, but bloody hell, what a fiasco. I hate letting people down. Okay, let's find out what's happening with this ride. So this is the front of the sportive. How many riders? We've got 11 riders in the sportive. So let's have a quick look and see what's happening. Currently 18 kilometers into the ride. And I mean, the profile looks a lot less intimidating than what the racers are currently racing on. We've got the Tan brothers here, I imagine, the brothers. You would think they'd ride together, but there's 700 meters between them. There's, I think, the only bot in the sportive has been programmed for 2.1 watt kilos. And then you've got Ralph bringing up the rear. He's a late starter to this event, so you can see he's only done 5 kilometers. And then Smith, for some reason, at the side of the road. I don't know why. I'm not going to cover this event. I just thought I'd drop in on it and have a look and see what's happening. Okay, so apologies, folks, for screwing up with the race coverage. But I can see it happening on a regular basis unless RGT come up with a way of allowing us to cover races without having to jump on the bike. It's just, I'm sat in the studio and to have to go over to the bike and jump on and turn the pedals is just ridiculous. So I'm going to end the broadcast here and I'll catch you all in the